everybody. Welcome to the Bella Buzz. And this is Desiree Scales with Bella Web Design. And we are starting with a new format this month. We're going to do some video casts and some interviews. And today I've got Rebecca Prien from counseltocreativity.com. She has been in law for 10 years and she specializes in helping entrepreneurs find their way through the minefield of law with, protecting what they put out there and their creativity, basically. So Rebecca, welcome. Thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you, Desiree. I'm happy to be here, and that was a great way of describing what I do. My clients have said that I'm a guide through all those pieces of law that they're not quite sure they understand or even know are there. Are they going to bump into something that they weren't even aware of?
Absolutely. And I think, with social media, we've got Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest now.
Right.
There's so many ways for entrepreneurs to share their ideas visually, with text. We've got all kinds of ways that we can do that. Let's just cut right to the chase. When you put something out there on social media, who owns it?
It depends on what site you put it on. So there's a couple key pieces here to remember. One is copyright law. That dictates who has rights to a particular piece of work. And the other is the terms of service.
Okay.
The terms of service has become more and more important. So with each site that you use, I know it's tedious, I know it's long and boring.
You mean that long thing and then you just click
that
agree?
That nobody reads. And they used to make you click.
Right.
That you understood it, and they don't even make you do that anymore. So,
right.
I remember when I started looking at this stuff, I thought, I don't think when you sign up for Pinterest or Facebook, you have to even click that you saw anything.
Yeah.
But those are the two keys. Just an basic understanding of copyright law, and to know that the terms of service for using those sites is what is going to determine how your content can get used via those sites and via the other people on those sites. And there's differences between each one. So knowing what's in the terms of service for Pinterest doesn't mean you know what's in the terms of service for Facebook. The other piece of this is that the way your content is used by the site, just in operating, and the way it's used by other users in the site differs and has different implications.
Okay, right.
So let's get into do you want to get into some of the details?
Yeah, let's talk about Facebook. Everybody talks to me about having a business page on Facebook that talks about their business, where they're sharing their ideas or maybe sharing news from another website. How does that work for entrepreneurs?
Sure. So in very broad strokes, the Facebook terms of service and all of these terms of service, what they say is that you are giving them a license to use your content so that they can operate the site in the way that it is intended, and they can promote the site.
Right.
Things might be a little bit broader than that, but those are the basic things that you should understand. That by pasting it on the site, what you're saying is, you know what, I encourage other people on this site to take this content and spread it around.
Right.
We want this to go viral, so that's what this does. The reason that they can do that is, one, the terms of service provides a license that gives them rights to do that. But the other piece about Facebook is all of your content typically is not on Facebook. Typically, Facebook is sharing, and Twitter too, is sharing a piece of that content to tease you into going over to your site.
Right, or your blog. Yeah, exactly.
To your site, to your blog, where they find out everything else. Which is why Facebook can do that. Because one, it's user content that's being uploaded. It's not their own content. Two, they have terms of service that says, you know what, you're agreeing that when you do this, we can use this, and you can use it within that site, or for the promotion and furtherance of this site. Okay, and you're saying, all right, you know what, that's a good thing because it's getting out there to other people, so I'm going to allow that. The third piece that makes it okay under copyright law is that it's a piece of what you've created. So that's called fair use.
Okay, so if I'm an artist and I'm putting up pictures of my own sculptures, for instance, that's okay on Pinterest. But don't I want everyone else to share those sculptures so that somebody might purchase them eventually? Yeah, I mean, so do I have to, as an artist, sign something or write something, or is that in the terms of service that says I allow people to share my stuff that I put on Pinterest?
Right. So again, in the terms of service, what it says is that you do allow people to make a digital copy and share it,
right?
Duplicate it on Pinterest.
So let me go back real quick and just explain to our audience, with Pinterest, you're encouraged to post pictures. You can go out to somebody's blog. Let's say you have a food blog that you follow and you see a great picture of, right, you know, spaghetti bolognese or something, and you want to share that photo on your Pinterest. You know, who owns that picture? Does the photographer? It sounds to me like the photographer who took the picture, unless they gave the rights to that blogger, owns it. Is that right? Right.
So what would happen is the photographer, because the photographer was the creator of the photo,
right,
under law, just without registering or anything, the photographer would own the photo.
Gotcha.
Now, most likely in the photographer's agreement with the food blog or magazine, there is a provision of that says actually who's going to own it, whether the photographer is going to retain that or whether the magazine blogger, etc. will own it.
Right.
Okay? And then it'll say whatever rights the blog, if the blogger doesn't have the full copyright, it'll say whatever rights they do have. Typically it'll be like digital rights, and there'll be a package of things that they can and can't do with it.
Okay.
So that's the first layer, is who has the rights, what rights do they have when they use that photo to put it on their blog. That probably is encompassed in their agreement with the photographer. The next piece is, what does a person viewing that blog, do they have any rights? What can and can't they do if they love this and they want to pass it along? So typically, you know, now we've got these share buttons, right?
Right. They're all over the place.
We've got a tweet button and we've got a Pinterest button.
Yeah.
So I would say that if there is a Pinterest button, that blog owner has bought into and given you a constructive, right? It means you don't really have the license in front of you, but it operates that way. The right to pin it.
Okay.
Okay.
Listen to that, because that's really important. So if you put a share button on your site and you have pictures or even blog posts, anything creative on that site, you've given the user, any user, the right to share it on any platform that they find that they want to share it on. Is that right?
Right, because effectively what you're doing is you're saying, I want this shared, please do this.
Right.
I understand the terms of service on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and I'm willing to be bound by them because of the benefit it gives me to my marketing.
Right. So let's move the conversation over to Twitter. We haven't covered that one yet. And Twitter is where you're tweeting 140 characters of your ideas. Yeah. Typically, people are sharing a blog post that they like, or their own blog post. I guess it's sort of like Facebook, where you're sharing a piece of something. However, you know, what if I quote myself or come up with this brilliant quote and send it out there on Twitter? Could someone else easily take that quote and contribute it to themselves? And what right do I have to go after that person?
Right.
I guess it depends on how big my wallet is.
I was going to say, I think it depends on how important the quote is to you and your content.
Okay.
Right? I mean, what's the value of that quote to you and your content? And how else is it being used? And is the value of it being claimed as a copyrightable work? And the thing is, things you say are not copyrightable.
Okay.
Right? Things you are attributed to saying. So if I get up and I make a speech, that speech is not copyrightable unless it is recorded like this is. So this video is copyrightable, right? It has copyright attaches to the video. Copyright doesn't attach to me standing in a room and speaking.
Okay.
So a lot of the quotes you see that are attributed to sort of famous people were actually said.
Right.
And so there's really no copyright attached to them. Or they're quotes from Shakespeare, right, who is in the public domain.
Right.
So if you were just the difference between your example and you just saying it.
Or tweeting it, writing it.
If you gave it in a speech,
yeah.
someone else tweeted it out.
Right. That's a good point, because that happens a lot.
Because you didn't, it's not attached in any form when you say it.
So what if they screw it up and say something I didn't even say? What rights do I have there? It gets complicated. This is a complicated subject. I mean, we could sit here for an hour and think of 20 scenarios, but, you know, this is something that, this is why you're in the business you're in, because it's very valuable to folks who, you know, authors. I think authors have a real issue with some of this, speakers. So I could see in the future where this could really become some gray area for folks like me or you who are out there, you know, spreading our ideas.
Yeah, I think that as we more and more, at least the portion of the economy that you and I are in, the entrepreneur, particularly online, or any entrepreneur or small business that is marketing themselves online and using content as a way of being known, is going to have familiarity with copyright and how that works out from both ends. You know, I get questions from both sides of the equation. I get questions, how do I protect my content? And then I get questions, you know, I read this great thing and I want to use it. What do I do? Can I use it? How do I use it? When can I just attribute it? And when does it constitute copyright? And so it's something to be aware of, and it's something to seek out the answers to.
From Rebecca Prien.
From me. And actually, I do, you know, I blog, so there are answers there.
Yeah.
I have solicited questions for my blog before, so, you know, if you'd like me to take up a topic, you can certainly submit a question through my contact form. But
that's great.
I also have started doing once a month, I have kind of an office hours concept or a group question and Q&A concept. It's just $25. You can drop in, you can do a membership, and it's a good way to get a quick answer to a question that's specific to exactly what's going on for you. Because what happens is I can write all the blogs that I want to, but people are always going to have the, wait a minute, I don't know how to apply that exactly where I am.
Right, and that's great. That's a great way to close. I mean, you know, just knowing that you're out there and helping people like myself who do have questions once in a while that come up, and I will take you up on that, and we'll explore that last question later. But Rebecca is found at counseltocreativity.com, and take her up on that offer to ask her a question every month. That's great. But thank you for being on the Bella Buzz today. You shared some great insights, and I know you're going to help a lot of people.
Well, you're very welcome, and I was very happy to be here.
All right. Thanks.